Every Tuesday, 8 a.m., we link up with Derek Stingley Sr., who is he's the Dunham School's defensive back coach. He is a great tutor of defensive backs in the area that you can find on Twitter at @dsting24. In fact, you can follow him and you can DM him right there if you're looking for information on tutoring defensive backs. And his son, Derek Stingley Jr., is the best defender in college football. And this conversation each week is brought to you by City Cafe. The coach and I, Coach Sting, and I were in City Cafe with Squeaky and Cody Miranda and the crew last week, eating to a very nice crowd over at City Cafe. Stop in and see them on the corner of George O'Neill and O'Neill Lane, where good friends meet and where they provide our conversation each week here with Coach Sting. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Jordy, T-Bob, what's good?
It's good to have you back, as always. Coach O was here telling a couple of stories about getting back out onto the field and what has become folklore over the past year and a half, Coach, and you know this because we spoke about this, is the Jamarr Chase, Derek Stingley Jr. practice field stories. And I believe it was Mickey Joseph who was here a couple of weeks back talking about when Sting showed up for bowl practice before the Fiesta Bowl, and Burrow was going right at the high school senior at the time in Derek, who was guarding Jamarr Chase. And since then, it has just turned into battle after battle that these guys have started to gain respect for. And like Joe Brady told me last year, these are two $100 million athletes in the next 5 years, the highest to be paid at their position. From your point of view, they're one of the dads on the scene. Can you talk to me about these battles between Chase and your son?
Oh, they're epic battles. I mean, it's been way back from even before they got to college. But I remember that first week when Derek was, he enrolled early to get in some practice with the Fiesta Bowl practices, and Joe went at him. But Derek, he stood his ground. I mean, he made a bunch of plays. He covered Chase most of the time, but he was on some of the other receivers. But he was making some interceptions. Chase was physical off the line. Chase would beat him. Derek would come back and he'll win a rep. Chase would come back and do something good off the line of scrimmage. It was just back and forth. It was like watching two superheroes with the same superpowers. It's like there's no ending to it. It's just like they're just going to continue to battle and battle and battle. I mean, it goes back. I could remember their first real time they went one-on-ones where they were at a 2017 at a LSU summer training camp, and they were like back and forth. I think they went at least 5 times, and I want to say Chase beat him twice and Derek beat him twice, where he made deflections on the balls, and the tiebreaker was almost to be honest, it was a bad throw by the quarterback. I thought Chase got behind Derek, and Derek wound up making up and catching up and deflecting the ball. A good ball, I think Derek probably would have got beat, but with Derek, his speed and his makeup ability, he made a play on the ball. And right then and there, you saw that these two, they were the tops at the little high school camp. It was on LSU's campus, that they were the top 2 players, and you saw what we know of now of these epic battles, to the point where it's probably the best matchup in college football that's never seen in the public eye, because it's only done in practice.
No doubt. This is going to be a feature on NFL Live in like 5 years. Remember the Landry Beckham one-handed catches that came out of the practice videos from LSU? This is the practice video you'll be watching in 4 or 5 years of Chase and Stingley going at each other one-on-one. Today, it seems like a very respectful relationship when you talk to the two of them. LSU put out a piece of media last week that was fantastic, talking about those guys going at each other, and we've been able to talk to Derek and Jamarr individually, and they have a ton of respect for each other. Has it always been like that, or can you take me to a time where they may have gotten into each other and the respect kind of butted right there on the field?
Well, they're probably two of the same type, like, people, meaning in their personality.
Yeah, they're very quiet, right?
Yeah, and they always have gotten along, but you're talking two ultra competitors. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was one time in training camp last year. It was funny that Jamar's dad, Jimmy, him and I, we were both standing over there like at the end of the end zone, and, practice was getting a little heated, but you just didn't think that what was to come between Derek and Jamarr would even come out to be, because Derek never fought in practice, and Jimmy Chase said Jamar never had a fight in practice. But here you go with these two guys, because they were back and forth all day that day. Like, when I say back and forth, it was like physical, just pushing and hand slapping and head slapping. And then it was just one play. I don't even think the play even was coming their way. It was like on the other side of the field or something, and Jamar tried to get off the line, and I think Derek was a little more physical from Jamar's standpoint. But Derek says, "No, Dad, he was pushing and shoving me," and then next you know, you saw a swing and another swing, and
Wow.
and it's happening right in front of Jimmy Chase and I. We're looking at each other like, "What is happening?" Like, these two. Next thing you know, you see the whole team just come, and it was just a melee. Them two started it, and then the whole team jumped in it, and it was just. I mean, it was good to see, because you saw that right then and there that they weren't going to back down from each other, and they're good for one another, and for what they do, it's like they bring the best out of each other, and Jimmy Chase and I, we talk about it all the time. They are good for one another. I mean, they both make each other who they are today.
Yeah, it's the old iron sharpens iron thing. That's always how it goes with the wide receiver fights too. It's when the play's away and they're having to block each other that it ends up flaring up.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach Sting, what was your reaction when you heard about the 10-game SEC-only schedule and kind of the challenge that it represents?
I said, my goodness, it's going to be competitive from the start to the end. I mean, there's no, let-up games. There's no, as they say, cupcake games. You have to play and be ready from the start to the end. And I mean, SEC is almost like watching an NFL game, and it's just the same in the NFL. Like, every game matters, and naturally, if we're only going to do 10 games, all 10 games are going to matter. So it's going to be fun, but it's going to be challenging as well. But I'm pretty sure LSU coaching staff will get those boys ready to play. But yeah, I'm just hoping we're going to get to those 10 games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're just operating on an optimistic assumption that it all goes off without a hitch here. Talking to Derek Stingley Sr. here on OTB. What about Junior's motivation, Coach? Because, I mean, you look and won the Natty freshman year, kind of viewed to be the consensus top corner. Where does he find that motivation from to try to get even better after a spectacular first year?
Well, Derek hates failure, period. He's somewhat of a perfectionist, and he hates to lose. And he had some struggles last year. There was a few plays in a few games where things just didn't go his way. So he's looking to build on top of that, to make sure that those things don't happen again, to make sure that he's truly studying his opponent, to make sure that, he understands exactly what he's going up against and who he's going up against. So in his mind, he wants to be the best. He looks at it as everybody's going to come at him, because, he don't read the press clippings, but he hears about them. So everybody knows that, or saying that he's the top corner in the country. So he knows he's going to get the best from everybody, and he don't want to fail. He most definitely hates to let his teammates down, and he hates to let his coaches down as well.
Coach, one of the things that I love about talking to you is you keep it very real with Junior. We all kind of celebrate him. I think that you're very good at finding the areas of improvement.
Last week at City Cafe, Cody walks up to him and says, "Coach, Derek, my God, he's great." He's like, "Yeah, he left a couple of plays on the field last year."
Exactly, right? So what are the areas of improvement that you see that he's focusing on this year?
Well, meaning every player matters when he's going up against the individuals that he's competing with. Sometimes he'll look at, well, this guy is known to be the best guy, or he's fast, he has a good release, or he's their go-to guy, so I really got to dial in. And then he may line up against the number 3 or number 4 wide receiver who really don't catch that many balls, who probably don't have a good release. And then his competitive juices may go down a little bit more, to where he's not just all out like he was against, the top dog, so to speak. So he got to work on the fact that you can't look at the person or the player that you're going up against. You have to just trust and use your technique, no matter what they're doing towards you. You just take away what they're trying to do, period. Because he'll look at it as, okay, I'm going up against Jamarr Chase. And sometimes it shows in practice. It's like he's dialed in, he's laser focused, he's watching all his cues that he needs to watch, but then he may go up against a lesser guy on a team, and you don't see that. And that's what I'm trying to bring out of him, and that's what he's working on. He's making sure that he's polishing up his technique a little bit, because at times when he was pressing, he wouldn't really be as aggressive as he needs to be. He would kind of open up and just run and let his athletic ability take over, instead of just using technique at the line of scrimmage and making sure that you're winning there first, and then you can make the ending even that much better, instead of you really don't work. You work as hard as you need to at the beginning of the line of scrimmage, and then all of a sudden you have to put out all this extra energy to try to go make a play when you could have won at the very beginning.
A great tutor of defensive backs. His son is the best defensive back in college football, Coach Derek Stingley Sr., who is here with us every Tuesday morning on Off the Bench, provided by City Cafe. You can hit him on Twitter at @dsting24 for more information. Appreciate it as always, Coach. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. There he is, Coach Stingley checking in. We will talk to Will Wade in 15 minutes. Your mail.